my nephew got killed in 2010 in the Union Heights area. I've yet solved that case. We know who pulled the trigger, but the folks don't want to say anything because they say it's snitching. That's all right. The Lord will provide. So I don't believe in that snitching thing. I don't believe in that. I believe in you telling the truth. Now, I don't believe in you coming into City Hall and lying on somebody. That's wrong. Correct. But if you come into City Hall and you tell the truth, you're doing the right thing. That's simply doing the right thing. And that's the problem, is that a lot of folks who are doing crimes, they are getting and they're controlling the minds of folks who are being victimized or witnesses to these things, and they're making it seem like, oh, well, this is out of the street. Well, you and I know, real life is real life. The street is only a facade. We've all experienced that street thing, and when we became older men as we are, we realize it's about what we're doing as men, than what the streets are saying. Because the streets are not going to, when you go to jail for 30 and 40 years, the streets are not going to be loyal to you. When you go in front of a judge and facing time, the streets not going to be loyal to you. When you sit back looking at your canteen in prison, the streets not going to be loyal to you. It's those families.
Yes, sir. Your
mother, your father, your brother, and sister. That's the people who are going to be holding you down to make sure you keep yourself straight. Keeping your mind focused. So I don't believe in that. That's a facade. That's a make-believe for me. Do the right thing. Help a family to heal by telling them who you knew that took their loved one's life. That's the right thing to do.
I know, being a police chief, how is diversity, why is that so important in law enforcement, especially in these day and ages?
Well, it's amazing because the diversity, city of North Charleston probably is, I don't have the numbers, right, but it's probably the most heaviest populated city for African Americans in the state. But either that, city of North Charleston or Columbia. The population in the city of North Charleston is more populated African Americans. So we serve a big African American group. Now, it's like you want to mimic the community that you serve.
Yes, sir.
But then on the other hand, you think about this, and I know I might not get an amen on it, but if you take 10 black males from the age of 35 to 65, and you put a lie detector test on them, and you ask them, how often did your father, grandfather, mother, grandmother, anybody in your family say, your occupation should be law enforcement? It's an honorable profession. How many black males going to say, yeah, that was told to them? Maybe one. Maybe one. Our community, our culture, we don't get into the law enforcement thing because it's generational. But if you take the same amount of white males from the age of 35 to 65, place a lie detector on them and ask them the same question, you will get about 5, 6, or 7 of them. Say, oh yeah, my grandfather, my uncle, because they are involved in law enforcement. So in other words, we have to first get rid of that generational mistrust. We got to get rid of it, and that comes with relationship building.
Yes.
That comes with spending quality time in the community, talking to folks, showing them exactly what law enforcement, the good that law enforcement is doing. Then also, it's also getting people in the community to see how well they can make communities better if they're involved. And on the flip side of it, Mr. Brown, the Caucasian officers that I work with, they've always loved to have African Americans, especially in the neighborhoods that's more predominantly African Americans. Because with the Caucasian officers, they understand that they have somebody who's African American, there are things that they may not understand, they can always refer to them. Or they can help build trust with that community.
Yes.
If you're an African American officer and you're a white officer and y'all walk into a convenience store, let's say you go to Swint Barbershop on Union Heights. I walk in Swint with a white officer, Mr. Charles Swint and Bobby Swint, they don't know this white officer. But guess what? If I introduce him and he's around me, that officer's going to say, hey, Mr. Swint, so-and-so. So when the officer is on his own, he'll go in Swint or go in Burgess or go in places, oh yeah, I met him with Reggie, So now you've developed that. So the white officers want the same thing. So recruiting African Americans in the city of North Charleston is very vital. And we've actually done a lot of that. But you got to go where they're at. And then you got the churches. You got to go into the community civic club meetings. You got to go to the parents. You guys are the greatest recruiters of African American men and women because y'all know who they are and y'all know what they want to do. Yes.
Why is I know you have a lot of Caucasian officers working under you. Why is it so important that they get involved in the black community that they patrol?
Well, because our oath is pretty long, but 99% of our oath talks about the service of people. It doesn't talk about the service of Hispanics, Asians, whites, blacks. It talks about the service of all people. So if you're going to raise your hand and swear that you want to serve and protect the citizens, then that's everybody. So they need, as well as African Americans, Hispanics, and Asians, they need to be truly about the Lord's business. God don't talk about colors. He never ever did. He talked about service. So if you're going to serve the black community, it should never be in your mind as a black officer or white officer that my service is going to be, 90%. No, your service should be 100%.
Yes, sir.
So that's the thing. You have to be true to what you raise your hand and what was said on paper. You have to be true to that. And that's what I expect my officers to be. If you can't be true to your oath, then you can't work at North Charleston. North Charleston is about the people's business. That's what it's about, the people's business. And that is everybody from Union Heights to Goose Creek Line to Latson Road, the people's business. And it doesn't matter what community they're in, you're about taking care of the people. That's what that oath is about. And if you're going to swear to it, then you need to carry it out. And that's what I believe that I do. I keep the officers focused on the task at hand, and that's the service of the people.
You withdrew your nomination as the next director of South Carolina Department of Public Safety position. You were nominated by the governor. Explain why you withdrew your, that position, because I know that's the kind of the top of the position that
it is.
And you withdrew.
Yes, sir. Well, when the Governor McMaster and I met several times the year before that and during that year, and when we would meet, the governor would ask me about the walking in the communities. He would ask me about the initiatives that we're doing with our CAP program, and we have all the programs working with the kids year round. He would ask me about the Black History Month program that we did. He said, man, he says, so how, what are you getting from that? And I told him that we get so much good feedback and people want to sponsor it. So he said, I'm keeping up with you. He was keeping up with everything I was doing.
Yes, sir.
The times that I met him, didn't think anything about it until he actually met with me one time and told me that he wanted to nominate me for that position. And I told the governor that I had no problem with going through the process. When I got home, I spoke to my wife and my family, my kids, my son, and my mother, and I talked to them about it. And I spoke to the mayor about it. None of them really wanted me to go, but they felt that it was a good opportunity if it was to be. But I told my church, and I told my family, if it's God's will, that's what I'll do. If it's not God's will, then I won't do it. As I was going through the process, I was enjoying it. I had my little bumps, on the road, but I came over that. There's 46 senators in the state. My votes was no problem. But I realized during the process, the political part of it. Okay. And I'm a chief of police. I have administrative capabilities to go to command schools, administrative schools. I understand it. But at that point in time, then I've never experienced the political side of things.
Okay.
So when I started realizing that, I said, wow, this is intense. But my family and I sat down together and we actually evaluated, is it best for me to go to Columbia, which I love, the highway patrolmen, transport, everybody over there. But, North Charleston is my home. I love my city. I love North Charleston. And that love that I have always had in me came through, and I just believe it was God's will. He wanted to let me go through that process, yes, but evaluate what was most important for me at that time, and the time North Charleston is.
Chief, at one time you were a resource officer, I guess in high school, and tell the audience how it felt like when you have students that come back and they see you and they say, thank you for possibly keeping me out of trouble or giving me lunch money when I probably didn't have it that day, or being that ear to talk to when I probably was having problems, or, you know, giving me advice and stuff like that when I needed it.
Yes, sir. Of all the jobs I've had in the city of North Charleston, from the 31 years, I've worked in every division, in every unit, in every area in the city of North Charleston. From crime prevention all the way up to, you know, the budget, you know, coordinator. Everything, every spot.
Yes, sir.
But if you ask me, Mr. Brown, what position or what area of the city of North Charleston that I worked in that I felt that I really made a difference, I always say school resource officer. I went to North Charleston High, which I attended Barnes Wilson High, and North Charleston combined with us in '84.
Yes, sir.
So my alumni is North Charleston now because my school is intertwined with North Charleston. So it was exciting to me to actually go to North Charleston and be a school resource officer. But my main goal there was to help the young people there at the school to see officers in the light that they should see them in. Because if I felt that the time from 7 to 3, if I interact with them in a positive way, and even when I had to deal with them, treat them as individuals, that when they leave and go in their communities, they saw police officers, now they can talk to officers and say, I know an officer. And I know that what y'all do. I know how hard it is to have a good relative relationship with the officer outside of the schools. That was my main goal, was to prove to them that we are keepers of them, not their enemy. And what happened is that North Charleston High had stopped allowing the kids, because of discipline problems, to have homecoming dances. They had stopped allowing them to go on, you know how we go on school, the seniors win the cut days?
Yes, sir.
That cut day. They stopped allowing them to go on senior cut days because of attitude and behavior. I'm not saying that I did it, but my interaction with the kids, when they started telling me what they wanted, I said, I'll work on those things if you work on doing better in school with your behavior. That happened. So I went to bat for them. We had our school dances. I was on campus. I helped them to organize it, stayed there. We had our dance, no problems. Then we started going to senior cut days. Then we started going on senior trips. And North Charleston's been going on senior trips since 1994, since I've been over there every year, going to Florida. Never have any issues like you've heard other schools go to places and have. North Charleston High never had those, because I listened to the kids and I asked them to be better with the teachers. See, it's like this, Mr. Brown. We don't know what that child has experienced over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. When that child comes to school in this day and time, when we were growing up, you knew how to act because you knew what was going to happen in school and when you got home. But things are different. So you don't know what that child has experienced from the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in the home or in the community. When that child comes to school, the last thing you want to do as a teacher, administrator, or SRO is to just cast them aside. If they're acting out, there's a reason. Mr. Brown, I don't believe no child was born to sell drugs. I don't believe no child was born to rape. I don't believe no child was born to rob. I don't believe no child was born to do none of those things. They learn that. They learn those things. So what I was trying to do is help them to unlearn those things while they were in the schools. I was telling them, I know how it is to be in the hood. I'm from the hood. I'm in the hood now. That's me. But I'm not going to do some of the negative things that the hood will do. Now, you may be my boy, my friend, and we cool and everything, but you gonna go that way, I'm going this way, because I gotta be accountable for myself. So that's what I was doing. Not only having these things, I was having conflict resolutions. You know, I was having, when they when they got wrote up by a teacher, the teacher would refer them to me. And then we would work on diversion. Okay. My main goal was to keep them in school, Mr. Brown. Yes. Keep them there. If I had to put them in ISS, detention, clean up, whatever, keep them in school. And that's how we started changing things. And like you said, the kids now who are grown, they come back. When I got sworn in, they were there. All during the week, they come in. They send me cards. I saw one yesterday in Walmart telling me about, hey, Burgess, remember that time? And I was like, boy, don't remind me of them days. You know, but the thing about it is they saw me that way in '94, and they see me the same way right now. They walk up to me in front of anybody and show me love, and I do the same with them, because it's all about love. Yes, sir. So yeah, that was the #1 job that I knew that I made a difference in as a school resource officer. Of all the jobs I did in that police department, I knew I made a difference there, because you can see it when the people come back to you. You can see it.
What do you tell our youth when they have problems getting a job because of prior records, and they feel like the only thing that they can do is do something illegal instead of seeking options, because there are always options out there that they can do?
Yes. Well, my father, like I say, was born in the 40s. He worked at the paper mill for 28 years. He told me, listen, before you go out here and do anything negative, I didn't raise you that way. I want you, if you have to dig a ditch and get a piece of paper with your name on it, you do the right thing at all times when it comes to yourself, because you can live with that. So I tell the young kids, I know it's rough, I know it's hard, you have a record, but it's not over. All you have to do is keep grinding hard, be positive, and go seek the people who you know can help you.
Yes, sir.
That's what you do. Seek advice. Get the understanding. When you get with those folks, they'll help you. They'll work with you. You may not get that great job, but you'll get something and you can help start building yourself. But don't give up. Don't give up, because I did. You did. And we come from the same areas.
Yes,
we just
sir.
didn't give up. We kept going.
Yes, sir. Now we got another video of you in the community, and
you guys have an award-winning team and an award-winning chief here at the North Charleston Police Department, and I want to present to you today Real Men Wear Pink official trophy from the American Cancer Society for all the wonderful work you all did last October. And we're just thrilled to have your partnership in this fight, because these cancer patients simply could not get the support and the research advances that they need without community partners like each one of you. And Chief Burgess, we can't say thank you enough for your leadership with this, and we're so excited to have y'all back again. And thank you. From the bottom of my heart and on behalf of all these cancer patients, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
that's another one of the many other things that North Charleston Police Department, led by yourself, does in your community. How important does that mean to you?
It's called this, relationship policing. That's what it's called, relationship policing. Everybody has issues. Put yourself in their position. And what can you do about making that situation a whole lot better? I've experienced cancer in my family, and it's going on in my family right now. So all I want to do is my part. But if I'm going to have the officers involved, I've got to lead from the front. I've got to lead from the front. If I'm out there, Mr. Brown, then they're going to be out there as well. All they need is for somebody to show them that, hey, you know, let's get out there and get it done. That's why you see these officers involved.
We're running short on time, Chief Burgess. If people want to know more about the things that you're doing in the community, what should they go about getting to? Some of the things you got going on.
Everything that we do in the community is all on our website. It's all on our website. So all you have to do is go to City of North Charleston Police Department.org and open our website up, and you can take a look at everything. And another thing that I want you all to understand too, they talk about police reform. You can look at our policies and procedures on that website. You would see any policy that talks about strangleholds or chokeholds, nothing. You will see duty to intervene in our policy, and you will actually see the force matrix where it actually explains to you about how we actually go from one level to the next. We have nothing to hide. So what I'm saying to you, doing everything in the community is a must and is important, but also we're practicing what we preach. Being better servants is important as well. So we want you all to know that we're a well-rounded agency, and yeah, we have great thinkers, great commanders that have command level experience, and we ourselves lead from the front. And the officers, they come right along with us because they want to be a part of it. It's all about relationship policing. That's what it's about.
Chief Burgess, thank you for coming on the show, and we look forward to having you come back on and talking some more about North Charleston Police Department, the awesome police department that you have, the people that you are in charge of, that you may protect our community?
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I want to thank you, sir, because, like I said, you didn't have to ask me to come on. And I thank you for allowing me to be on it. And anything you guys need, you don't have to dial 911. Just go ahead and come on over.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for watching the show, and you be encouraged. Thank you. This evening, I have retired detective, but coming back, Gary Mcfadden from Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department Homicide Unit. How you doing there?
I'm doing fine.
Great.
Doing fine, Mr. Brown.
Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, I retired from Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department July 31st, 2011, after 29 years of service with the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department. I left as a homicide detective after being there for 20 years, and September 1st, they hired me back to come and work the DNC.
Awesome, awesome. What do you like most about being a homicide detective?
I just love the people, meeting the families. To me, it was much more after the homicide, because you get to know the family, you get to know the victims, and you get to know what life was really like for the victim and what happened up until the homicide. And I think I like that part of it, and then dealing with the family. That was my true love, dealing with the families.
One big issue we have in our community is our youth and homicide. Why is that becoming a big issue?
Well, I think our youth today look at us like we don't care about them. We look at them like we don't care about you. Because in talking to youth, which I do just about every week, sometime every day, you know, I sit down or go where they are and have true conversation with them. No cameras, no media, you know, no hoopla, just what's going on in your life. And then it's consistent. I found out if you be more consistent in being in their lives, you will find out more, peel back the layers, and they'll open up to you.
Okay, you said more into their lives. What do you mean by that?
Well, I talked to an individual that I had sent to prison for committing murder, 2 counts of murder. And he was 17 years old when he committed the murder, and he's now 21 years old in prison. And I talked to him a couple of times since he's been in prison, and he said something that really just, you know, touched me. He says, when we were talking about why he did the murder and what happened in his life, he says that the negative in the community was more consistent than the positive. And I asked him to explain that to me. And we just talked about it. And that's something I always remember him talking about, because he said, you know, out of all the mentoring groups and all the people who come and believe that they are really helping, they're only helping for 4 hours once a month or once a weekend, 4 hours. And he said, they take us out, they take us to the basketball games, they get us tickets to the Panthers game, we go to play golf, we learn tennis and all, and we always go eat pizza, and then they drop us right back into the problems that we had. But where are they when we want to talk to them at 2 o'clock in the morning? Or are they really keeping up with me prior to that weekend they're going to be with me? Why not call me on the Tuesday and says, what's going on? Let me just pick you up and let's talk to you. So then when they feel like nobody really cares, they have a sense of not caring for themselves too.
So it's another means of being consistent as far as, you know, letting the child know that you're not just concerned during a certain time frame, like on, just like you said, Saturdays or weekends, but at all times.
Right. I mean, I believe if you take the young men phone numbers, when you're talking to them, you just can periodically call them. You know, when I call the guys going back to school this year, I said, okay, first day of school, man, you know, everything will be all right. Yeah. After that first day of school, call back. How was it? You know, who's in school? Nothing have to be structured, just general conversation. Me and 4 young men went out to lunch one day just after they got an award that 90% of the parents weren't there to see them receive their award. And that was heartbreaking to me. So 3 or 4 of us just went out to lunch, and it was the best time we had that day. And I mean, for them, they still call, and all they want to do is to go out to have lunch again with me, and that's it.
I noticed that a lot of our youth, especially the young men, they just want, just like you said, they want some communication. They have a lot to talk about.
Right. You know, one young man didn't come to a meeting one night, and I asked him why you didn't come up to the meeting that morning. And he said, can I talk to you later? And I said, yeah. And he says, you know, last night the police raided our house looking for my brother. And so his morning, you know, when he comes to school, they were saying, why are you late for school? And why are you not on time? And when he was trying to explain it to them, they said, just go to class. That was his morning. Not knowing that he just came out of a situation where he was dealing with the police. He was placed on the floor by the officers to secure the house, and they're looking for his brother. They get him off the floor. He brushes himself off, and he walks to school. Nobody knows what he went through 20 minutes prior to arriving to school. So if you get into it and talk with these kids and stuff and find out what really their lives are like, I think you'll find out more about them, and we can reach them better. But be consistent.
Correct. How is it so that our youth can go to school? Do you think that's a big issue as far as them coming to school after dealing with a situation like the young man
Yeah.
did and be able to really function in our school system?
And that is what the kids or the young people say. Well, if there's a shooting in the neighborhood or a school classmate is killed overnight, Charlotte Mecklenburg is going to send counselors to the school, okay, because they heard about somebody getting shot. The kid said that really doesn't affect me if I don't know the person. You know, they can come and bring the counselors, but here's something directly affects me because I was placed on the floor. I was handcuffed. You know, I had to sit in a police car and wait for somebody to ID me not as my brother. But then I arrived at school with that same crisis and nobody's there for me. Another kid who was 12 years old when we talked, he's 19 now, he said his first murder he saw, he was 12 years old. His friend got killed in front of him. He got counseling maybe for a week. No, he didn't get counseling at all because it happened in the neighborhood. So he goes to school, nobody talks to him. Nobody knows that his friend has just been killed. He told them, but then he goes on through life and he's seen at least, he says, 9 to 10 other friends been killed. So do somebody come and counsel him? Somebody's periodically checking on him? Not really. And these are the people who we want to function properly in society and our schools.
So how do we solve that problem? Because it seems like a lot of the issues is coming from outside the classroom, but they're bringing it in, you know, and they're not being able to focus.
Well, I think we have to first be committed to the real cause, not just, the kid said, not just come and talk to me 1 or 2 days. You know, kind of be there for me a little bit more. Just general conversation, look into what I'm going through. You know, we have a lot of time on our hands, whether we believe it or not. We'll go to charity events, we'll go to dinners, we'll go golfing, we'll go fishing. We can just talking on the cell phone while you have some downtime.